We go. Haley, just make sure your phone is gonna be on silent, okay?
I'm on silent.
Yeah, because when you see your video coming on, you might just see noises coming through.
I'll see us.
Hello and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It is, yes, a Saturday and not a Sunday. And we decided to do the open mic talk today and the story sharing today with Hayley Joy. She's joining us today from South Africa in Gauteng. So thank you so much, Hayley, for joining us today. I want to welcome our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us on the Saturday afternoon in Gauteng. It's a beautiful sunny day today. And I just want to say thank you so much. We are streaming live on 3 pages. We're actually on the Open Mic for Women group, the Open Mic page, and also Hayley Joy shop. This beautiful lady in front of us today is going to share with us her story. Before we go into that, Hayley, I just want you to, introduce yourself to everyone out there, who Hayley is and, where you're from before we get into that story.
Thanks, Shishni. It's so nice to be here. We finally got it together. I can't actually remember when we had our 3-hour conversation where I was sitting in my car.
Yes, we did. I think it was just over 3 hours. Hayley and I started chatting. I think it was about a couple of months ago, Hayley, right? Probably like 2-3 months ago. I think it was the longest conversation I've had with someone in a very long time. And we talked about everything.
Yeah, it was amazing. My hubby kept coming to check if I was okay because I'd driven into the driveway and I didn't want to cut you off. So I just sat in my car and I just kept talking and talking and talking. It was amazing. It was just so, yeah, you and I connected on, we just knew what we, yeah.
We did. We really did. So, Hayley, let's talk about you.
So Sheshni, Hayley Joy is my name. Apparently I was a bundle of joy when I was born. So that's where I got the middle name from. And for the whole of my life, I actually hated it. And I never ever shared my middle name. It didn't resonate with me at all. And then when I was looking to name my shop, I was opening a retail store, I was looking to name it, and my hairdresser at the time actually said, you just have to name it Hayley Joy. And I was like, no, I really don't like my middle name. She's like, I'm getting a message from above that you need to name it Hayley Joy. And the interesting thing is it was such a brilliant thing to do, because back then there wasn't really much around using your name as the brand name. But as it's evolved, it's become so important for you to be associated with the brand and your name and all of that. So yeah, so I'm a size inclusive fashion designer specializing in true plus sizes. And I always add the word true because we don't upsize, we make genuine plus size, and there's a very big difference in that. And I'm born and bred in South Africa, grew up in Johannesburg until the age of 8, and then Rustenburg from the age of 8 to 18, and then back to Johannesburg. I've lived in a couple of countries. I've traveled, lived, worked, and came back to South Africa when I was about 29. And I just knew that I was an African, and I knew that this is where I wanted to be. And I lived in some really fabulous places, but I think there are just some of us who are just born Africans. And like, I called my mom one day from Regent Street in London, and it was pouring with rain, and we didn't have cell phones in those days. So I was talking on a ticky box, and I just said, I hate it here. And she said, come home.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to book a flight, and I'm coming home. And I booked a flight and came home. And yeah, and I've been in Johannesburg ever since.
Wow. Well, home is home, and a lot of South Africans will agree to that, especially if I've traveled as well, and home is home. You miss it. You definitely miss it. Hayley, your topic or your story for today, unsticking my stuck during the pandemic. And I found this topic, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, especially yourself being a business owner. A lot of people personally have felt stuck, and besides their businesses, a way of going forward. So I think this is going to be touching on a lot of people right now, how they're feeling, especially being after just over a year in this pandemic. I think a lot of people are trying to understand, what is the new way of doing things right now, and how do we move forward. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's see, how your story evolved, and where you started. I'm going to hand it over to you, Haley.
Thank you. So yeah, Shishni, I mean, I've loved what I've done for the whole of my life. So I've only ever done this. I know nothing else. I worked in the illegal casino industry for a couple of years. I
Mhm.
took a break from fashion from the age of 30 until 35. And I loved that. It was a completely decadent way of life. But it was fun and it was carefree and we earned a lot of money and we had a lot of fun. But it was, from a health perspective, it was a very dangerous existence because we worked by day, we worked by night and slept by day. And it was difficult because I was living at home and, my family would get up in the morning and they'd have to tiptoe around because I'd come in at 4 in the morning. But anyway, I had great fun and I met my husband in that environment. So 26 years later, it was a good choice to go and work in those casinos. And then there was word that the casinos were going to close down. And so I reopened and I started sewing again. And I would then work half by day and then half by night. And yeah, and then the casinos did close down. And by then I had my business up and running. So I did a whole bunch of different things, but I'd always been, well, I've been a big girl since I was 20, about 18, 19. I started putting on a lot of weight, hormone problems, wrong medication, all of that kind of thing. So I've struggled with my weight my whole life. But back in the day, when I was 18, 19, there was nothing on the market. Nothing. Nobody, there wasn't a single brand doing so-called plus fashion. No, nobody. Then Penny Coolin came along. It was a range at Edgar's, and they started to do bigger, so-called bigger sizes.
I remember those, and that was a long time ago.
Now, she was the first one. So, what happened was because there was nothing to buy, and I was at Fashion Design College studying to be a fashion designer, I started to make my own clothing. And in making my own clothing, I started going out wearing the clothing, and I'd have people coming up to. I had women coming up to me everywhere I went, going, "Oh, please, can you tell me where you bought that? Please, can you tell me where you bought it?" And the more that was happening, the more I realized that there was this hell of a gap in the market. So I started to dabble in it. And then I spent 20 odd years doing that. I was working from home. I did custom wardrobes for clients. I had an agent selling for me and things ticked along, but I never had money because I was always working in reverse. A client would come, they'd place an order, they'd go away. It would take me 3 weeks to make the order, and then they'd come back for a fitting, and then we'd fix, and then only when they came to collect would I get paid. So I always had a cash flow problem. I reached the age of 40, gave up smoking, hit the wall. That's a whole nother episode that you want to do with me because it was the most frightening thing that happened. And from being this super in control human, I just fell apart completely. My
Wow.
entire everything shut down from my brain to my heart to my body to everything just shut down. I'd thrown away the crutch and now like I suddenly had to face life on its own and I just didn't have any tools to do it. So I started working with somebody and we unpacked all the drama that was sitting inside me. And in one of the sessions, she said to me, and she was really hardcore, she took no nonsense. In one of the
Yeah.
sessions, she said to me, "So when this is all said and done, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go out and I want to create a space, a safe space for all the forgotten women out there." She threw me a pad and a pen and she said, "Write that down. She said, because that is going to be an incredibly important byline in your life going forward. So I wrote it down. I want to go out and create a safe space for all the forgotten women. And I went away. Fast forward, we discussed me opening a retail store. I'd never done retail. I'd always had an excuse. The economy, the country, the government. I always had an excuse about why I couldn't open a retail store.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
as my confidence built and as I started to feel better about myself and understand myself, I realized that I had this gift to make clothing for women who nobody else wanted to make clothing for. And I owned that. I started to actually own that. So I went out and I opened a retail store. And it was the best thing I ever did. And for the first 10 years, it was amazing. And I loved it, and it was crazy, and it was mad, and it was pressure, but it was phenomenal. And I still to this day don't really know what happened, but I slowly started getting stuck. And I think it was insecurity of embracing the new world of virtual. I think that was a problem.
Yeah.
So, going out on Facebook and sharing myself and all of that kind of thing. And I just got more and more and more stuck and more disillusioned. And I couldn't understand how nothing had changed in the product, but everything had changed in the client base. Like I was starting to attract clients that just weren't a good fit for Hayley Joy. And it was really weird. It was like I was really being tested. Anyway, then the 26th of March 2020 happened. And I'd come into 2020, January 2020. I wasn't doing any of that rah, I'm so excited, 2020 is going to be my year. I'd come into 2020 with great trepidation. And I'd also come into 2020 with my mind playing in other places. Like I was looking outwards for some kind of sign because I thought I was done in the clothing space. So I was starting to think, what else could I do? And actually, when I reflect back on it now, that was really sad because I really love what I do and I do it well. So why was I having this need to start doing other things? I wanted to open this and I wanted to do nothing clothing related. So yeah, January 2020 was not like my happy month at all. But anyway, I came in and I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And then lockdown happened. And that was the turning point big time for me and the brand, but I didn't know that it was going to be the turning point for the brand. So something really interesting happened at the end of the first week of lockdown. I got a call from my next door neighbors in the shopping center where I'm in. He phoned me and he said, listen, he said, I want to go into mask production. I know nothing about production. You have a production. Do you want to do R&D for me on a mask design that I want to develop? And I just said yes. I was like, I mean, I didn't even think about it. I just said yes, of course. Okay, let's go for it. And it was the most insane ride of my life. I was a phenomenal entrepreneur who had literally just lost, in inverted commas, 7 businesses in the space of the announcement being made that we were going into lockdown to lockdown happening. All of his businesses just could not function without. He had a signage business. Like, I mean, what are you going to do in a lockdown with sign? So I watched this guy refuse to be knocked down. I watched him build a business in 10 days. I was in the private WhatsApp group, and I just sat back and I just watched this amazingness happen. And I looked at all of this and I was like,
Yeah.
hang on a minute. Here is something. Here is a sign. If you've ever wanted a message or a sign from your universe to show you, like in the absolute worst of times, with a massive staff contingent and massive offices and massive business, and all of this business that was there that just suddenly went away because now nobody was going to put a sign up, and he just carried on. And I have so much respect for him and he taught me so much. So we launched the mask thing, and it was the most insane thing I've ever seen. They sold, I don't even know. I mean, it was so bizarre. Like, they sold millions in 14 days. Like, it was just the craziest thing. Brilliant marketing, brilliant social media, brilliant. And that's when, bearing in mind, I was working 7 days a week, long hours, but I wasn't running a business. I was now just doing production. So I had time to step back and to actually assess everything. So I came home one day and I took a piece of paper and I wrote on the left-hand side of the piece of paper, I wrote all the positives, because I don't do negative first. I like to do positive first, then do negative and see how I can cap negative with positive, as opposed to trying to do it the other way where you go into the negative first. So I wrote all the positive things that I loved about my business, and I wrote all the things that I wrote, and there weren't too many negatives. And I looked at them, and because I had the luxury of time, which I'd never had for the last 3 years of being in the stuck space, financially things weren't as good as they'd been. So I was having to be in the business more to try and make those monthly expenses. And I looked at what I'd written on this piece of paper with time and clarity, and we had looked at the financial capacity that we had. We knew that if we were really careful and we were really disciplined, we knew that we had 3 months worth of running expenses. And I said, okay, I'm going to actually just step back and I'm just going to breathe. And I did that. I breathed. And every day I woke up and I was like, can you go there in your head? And I was like, no, I can't go there. Okay, don't go there. And then I would just breathe. And I'd open the book that I'd written the things in, and I'd keep looking at them. And slowly I started to eliminate the things that didn't make me happy in my business. I looked at them, I assessed them, I either cancelled them, I either fired them, and I'm not talking about staff because I didn't need to fire any staff, but I fired suppliers that just weren't working for me. And then I looked, and this was where the big turning point came. I looked at my relationship with my clients. So I have built today, okay, let's go back then. I had built 600 women on 3 WhatsApp lists that I used to go out to on video every week, showing them, like, for instance, if I'd made this jacket and this was new, I'd be like, ladies, we've just made this jacket. This is the green lace. These are the colors. And I'd show them the colors. We'd talk about it. I'd talk about the fit, the zip, the pockets, whatever. And then they would just order from me on WhatsApp. And I asked myself the question. I was like, if I'm feeling this uncertain and this fearful, because I just was determined I wasn't going to lose 35 years of passion. Like, it's always been known, and there isn't anything else I want to do. So I had 2 choices. I'm either going to lose it all, or I'm going to find a way to. I've got 3 months, so I don't have to go hysterical. But past 3 months, I don't. So I need to make a plan now for after the 3 months. I'm very grateful that it didn't take the 3 months. So I looked at it and I said, if I'm feeling this way, how are my clients feeling? And I suddenly realized, so I did a video and I just spoke for 1:30, because that's all you can do on WhatsApp unless you do 10 videos. And I just spoke and I just told them how I was feeling. And I shared my feelings with them, and I said, and I just want you to know that if in any way you need any help or anything, I'm here, I have time, happy to chat. And it was insane, the response I got. And there are a bunch of things to unpack around that. So the first thing to unpack around it is, when you build relationships with clients in the good times, you will come to understand in the bad times just how important that time that you put in with those clients. So what I mean by that is let's say I send out a video and I get massive communication back because it's a very engaged space, and those women are all there because they want to be there and because they want to see what's new and they want to buy what's there. But there are a couple of women who are there who used to buy and have now retired, but have asked to remain in the group because they love the videos and they like seeing me. So please don't remove me. Or there are those that their financial situation doesn't allow them to buy at the moment. Those are the women that come back and go, wow, Hayley, that's beautiful. And here is the little nugget, the little golden nugget. It's very easy when you get 175 messages back in 15 minutes to open that message and go, oh, that's sweet, and move on. I don't do that. I acknowledge, because that's love. They've taken time to write a message. So I then would go back and say, wow, Sheshni, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, because I really do appreciate it. And then it would open the door to a conversation. And those conversations then led into building a relationship that way transcended just selling clothes. So the response to the first video was so incredible. And I suddenly, for the first time, I actually didn't feel like I had chewing gum under my feet. Does that make sense? Like,
I am so with you as well. I mean, I had the same thing with the Open Mic Foundation as well, Hayley, right? I mean, when the Open Mic Foundation launched, it was a physical event, right? It was at a place, with mics, and it was a speaker setup. It was in the open, in nature. And when the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, I am in the corporate environment, so I have different avenues, and I'm in IT. So, okay, we're moving over to digital. Let's pivot and take the entire thing, into digital. And for me, what I can share with you is that when I did that, instead of it being a South African open mic, it became a global storytelling platform, right? So, and I'm listening to you now, and I can so relate to everything that you're saying, right? Because I myself had to look back at those relationships. I myself had to look back and to see, what does this relationship serve me or not? How does this help? Because you get good relationships and you get bad relationships. And sometimes you need to let go of the things and you can't hold on to them, because they do bring you down in certain instances. So everything that you're saying, I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's like I'm listening to myself, because I've been through exactly the same thing. But you do find ways, Hayley, and I think, for me, if I have to take you back a little bit, I have a question for you, right? So this gentleman that asked for this mass production, and obviously you've been on his groups and you've seen him create this business in 10 days. What was your biggest learning with him there?
My biggest learning was that if you want something bad enough, you can have anything you want. The passion, and also, Sheshni, partnering with the right people. That's people partnering. He picked up the phone and he phoned me because he knows that I make clothes. So I'm in production. I would understand how it all works. he knew that to go and try and make this from scratch was never an option. But what he didn't realize, what it did for me, what I took out, whether it was true or not, it didn't matter at the time. He called me. So the first week of lockdown, I came home, the building was shut down completely, everything was shut down, sent my staff home, took all the all the valuable stuff out of the store because I didn't know. I mean, my store stands open. Anybody can get to it from the street. It's not in an enclosed shopping center. So we took everything home, and I came home, and literally for the first time in 15 years, like, what am I going to do? Like, there's nothing. I can't cut anything. Yes, I could open my laptop and I could play, but I knew I had 3 weeks. We were told first it was 3 weeks. That first week, I did nothing. I barely opened my laptop. I barely opened my phone. I lay on the couch on the patio. It was March. It was beautiful. I lay on the couch and I watched the birds, and I just started to unbundle that heaviness and I started to talk to myself. I can do that really well, where I can have conversations with myself like, get out of your funk, because only you can get out of that funk, that horrible, heavy. Nobody can take you out of that, but you have to understand what's creating that funk. And then a week later, I get this call, and with exuberance, he wasn't interested. He got suppliers to open their factories in hard lockdown to sell him fabric. I gave him all my contacts. He contacted all of them. He wasn't interested in any excuses. We got elastic. And then he bought all the elastic. He said, I know what's going to happen. As soon as everybody else comes out at the end of 3 weeks, they're going to all start making masks. They're all going to need elastic. Then we're not going to be able to get elastic. He also had money in reserve. And that's also a very important thing. He had money in reserve to go and buy all of this stuff. I had money in reserve to keep my business afloat for 3 months. And as much as I wish we didn't have to rely on money, it was an incredible lesson for me and for him to know that because we had access to money, we could actually launch this thing without any debt. We never took on any debt for it. I was able to bring my staff back to work, which was a huge thing. So I didn't have to put my staff on UIF. They got paid salaries all the way through. That was really important to me. My staff are single moms. I can only imagine the fear that must have been sitting in them. They went home to Hillbrow, home to Cosmo City, home to Soweto. Can you imagine the speak in those environments around, oh my word, what is going to happen? And I was determined, again, in the good times, those girls were with me. They worked their butts off. Now, in the bad times, as a company, I was determined. So my hubby and I, interestingly, stopped taking salaries because there wasn't enough money to pay us salaries. We lived out of savings. We paid them full salaries. And what's very important about that is not that we're wonderful people. What's important about that is that it shows a respect for the whole situation. They still had to pay rent. They still had to buy food. They now had their children living with them permanently in 1 room or 2 rooms. I was determined, and I can't say that it was well looked upon by the general public that I discussed it with, or that asked me, and they were like, you're crazy, and you should be getting UIF for them. And I was like, can you imagine? You earn a salary it's a livable-ish salary. It's market related. I don't think it's fabulous, but it's market related. Imagine you earn that salary that you just get by every month. You're now confined at home with children who don't have access to laptops and iPads and that for schooling. And now your salary is going to be cut by 60%. No. And when asked, I have a stock saying, when I go to bed at night, I put my head on my pillow. I don't put it on the pillow, and I don't put it on the person's pillow. And I want to go to bed and I want to sleep. I don't want to lie there feeling guilty and whatever. So that was, but it also showed respect for them, which was huge. And I'll tell you why that was huge. So then what I learned from him was I learned bravery, and I learned about faith in self. He had complete faith in himself that he was going to kill this. And he did.
Yeah.
He
No,
did.
he did. He did.
That's what I learned from him. I learned that when you have a skill, his skill is that he can, well, now definitely, he can launch a business, get it up and running in 10 days, pull in a whole team, launch it, and make millions. That is a skill. That is a superpower of note. But actually, what his real superpower is faith in self.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it definitely is.
That was the big poster for me.
You know, a lot of people as well, you know, I think going through the pandemic, you know, questioned a lot about themselves. You know, if I hear about the stories that came through to open mic as well, Hayley, you know, a lot of people of self-belief and self-love and, you know, reflections about themselves and those type of things. And I think the most important thing is about, you know, faith in themselves. You know, do I have the strength to do what I need to do? Do I have the courage and not fear? Because people were fearing more through this pandemic than actually seeing the good in it, because there was good in it. You know, yes, there has been people that have lost their lives, and we all acknowledge that, and we're fully aware of that. But there has been light through this pandemic. It definitely has. From where I'm sitting, there has been, definitely, for sure. I think humanity needed to reflect on themselves more than anything that they've ever done in decades right now. And it's brought them to a standstill. Something like this pandemic had to bring humanity to stand still and to see what were they doing at this given point in time to the planet, to themselves, to the world. What is the universe message they've been trying to say? And the only way that humanity could have been still and could have been forced to be still was a pandemic, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, and interesting, I mean, it's 100%. I agree with everything that you said there. So I had a conversation with somebody. She said to me, her husband says that this is the work of the devil.
What?
And I said, let's unpack this. I said, imagine. I said, and whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter what you believe in. So let's call it the universe for whatever you believe in. And this is what I said to her. I said, so imagine you're the universe and you've created this whole amazingness, absolute amazingness. And you've given man a heart, a soul, a brain. You've given him earth, seeds, water, animals, everything on a silver platter. When you, let's say every Sunday, you sit and take stock and you look down on earth and you go, really? Really? Like, I've given them everything and this is what they're doing with it. I said, so you know what? When there was a fires in California and earthquakes here and tsunamis there, we all went, oh, shame. But it didn't physically affect us.
Yeah.
So I said to her, I said, so then the universe decided, you know what? You lot on earth actually need a leveler. I said, now Corona comes along and it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, and it doesn't matter what color you are. Every single one of us got nailed the same way.
Right.
The situations were maybe different in that if I lived in a home and it was paid for, and you lived in a home that wasn't paid for, it was a little, but pretty much I had a business and employed 7 people, and I shut it down for 3 weeks and then 5 weeks. So I said, does that make sense that if you were the universe, you would have just decided enough was enough? And she looked at me and she said, I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to tell him that, because that is the most obvious way of understanding it I've ever heard. I said, great. And then I saw her a couple of days later. I said, and? She said, he just looked at me and he said, that Hayley Joy is a clever somebody.
You know what? Blaming people, blaming the blaming game that society has taught us to do over the years doesn't serve us, doesn't do us any good.
No.
If it's time that we start take responsibility of ourselves and what we need to do, right? And hoping that people find the strength to move forward from this and find a new way of working. You know, exactly what you have done, Hayley. You know, you've made it work. And I think
And I made it work with the most incredible support. And I never knew that I had that support. I knew I had great clients and we had a great relationship, but I never knew the depth of the love and the respect and the gratitude for what I do. And in that, as I started to go out to them every live, I couldn't sell anything. I had nothing to sell, but I just sent them a video every week. I showed them things in my garden. I showed them things that I was designing for fun. We chatted. I then started to get really crazy things happening. I had money being deposited into the bank account by clients for future purchases to make sure that I could pay salaries. I had a client's husband offer me bridging finance with no interest, because the message from her on WhatsApp was, my husband says there is an offer from us for bridging finance with no interest, because he says that if you go out of business, his life won't be worth living. So funny, but it was so I was so taken aback. It was like, but again, if you just take those things and you go, oh, that's fabulous, and you don't actually unpack them, there were messages in all of those things that were happening to me, messages to me that were saying, can you come back to what you are and what you do, and stop thinking that you have to maybe do something else because maybe your career in this is over. This is a great career. You have great traction. Keep going, but use all of these things that are happening, use them as inspiration. And I started to feel this. I just started to feel this awakening again and this love pouring out of me for what I do. So then I now have cemented the relationships, and we're talking more and we're doing different things, and I'm teaching them some stuff on their mobile phones, and because I love my mobile phone and I've got all these tricks, so I'm teaching them a whole bunch of stuff, and then they join a group that I'm doing, and then we were able to reopen because clothing was considered an essential product.
Essential.
So I still don't know where that came from. I just went into production on loungewear. I had the fabrics, I had the patterns, and I just thought, if you're sitting at home, you're not wearing your fancy jacket like this at home. I have these cotton lycra loungewear sets that I've worn for years, but I've never really put them into the Hayley Joy collection because there was really never a gap in production that we could do that. And suddenly I had this gift of time in production where we could start to play around with it. So I did a little collection and I went out to the WhatsApp ladies and I got swamped. Like, you don't even want to know, we were working overtime. It was crazy what happened. And what happened was two things. First and foremost, if you're a 4XL, 5XL, 6XL, 7XL, very, very difficult to find anything properly loungewear where the top's long enough and the pants are loose enough and the elastic fits correctly. And actually, it doesn't exist. And I have it, and I had the patterns. It's not like I didn't, I didn't have to recreate anything. And that's where the swamp came from, because when those girls got their first set of loungewear, they just all came straight back at me and were like, oh my word, this is like the best thing I've ever had in my whole life. What other colors? And I sent them the colors, and they ordered like 5 sets because they were working from home. They were sitting on Zooms. The tops are pretty enough that you didn't need anything more than that top. It had like a little trimming around the neck and whatever. They went mad, my really bigger girls. So that was amazing. And that kept us in work for literally for 3 months. And then I did gowns, dressing gowns for plus sizes, because again, when you're a plus size girl with a big tummy, that dressing gown that's got the big tie thing that sits, no, shish, no, like just no, you don't want to in your dressing gown with this big belt and your whole just no. So I took actually one of our jackets that was a real winner, and we just tweaked it slightly, dropped it to the floor, put a half zip in it with a collar and pockets. Oh my word, we made polar fleece gowns like I've never. It's like you've never in your life seen it. It looked like Dinkum mass production. Like, we do production, but we don't do mass. This was, there were just polar fleece gowns everywhere. So that, and again, that was the bigger girls. Where are they going to go and get a polar fleece gown from? So that was tapping the market correctly, which I did, and I did it very well. And I'm very grateful that we didn't try anything else. We just did loungewear and dressing gowns and PJs, plus size PJs. What I've since unpacked about that whole period. So let's say that was end of April. So that was June, July, August, which was still deep in lockdown, really.
Mm-hmm.
What happened, and this is the most interesting one for me, is I've only realized now that I provided normality. I was the beacon of normality, because even if they didn't need the clothes, even if they were living alone and they weren't seeing one person, just having the experience of buying and that thing of getting the video, WhatsApping me talk, they were having a conversation with somebody. They hadn't seen anybody for 4 or 5 months. I didn't understand it at the time. Listen, in all fairness, I was swamped in polar fleece gowns, so I didn't really assess it at the time. But afterwards, so if you think of the experience, you get the video, you WhatsApp back, I WhatsApp back, we talk, we decide colors, I send you samples, then we send you an invoice, then you do the payment, then I send you a thank you for the payment, then hubby sends you a courier tracking number, like, hi Sheshni, your order has been dispatched. That's how they go. Here with your tracking number, another form of communication, another reason to open your phone and read something in a day that just is going on forever because nothing's happening. And then the only person that you've probably seen for 5 months is the courier guy from Hayley Joy and possibly Woolworths and Dis-Chem, or Checkers and Dis-Chem. That was the only communication with the outside world. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I was normality. I was normality going, that as long as you were able to buy from Hayley, you were still living in a normal world. And that's something that I'm actually documenting it. I'm unpacking it. Like, I've almost done a mind map of it, or a road map of it, because it's such a fascinating thing to understand that not only were you the fashion designer providing clothing, you were the go-to. You were the person. Crazy.
You actually gave them hope.
Yeah, I did. And
It
I
was,
didn't.
yeah, I mean, listen, I think we all at some point in time don't realize that. And, I myself, I have storytellers coming to me and telling me, thank you so much for just listening to me and just, providing me that space. And you don't realize it, right? Because you just think, you're doing it from your heart, and, you want to make sure everyone's good, and you want to show everybody that I'm here for you and that I am listening to you and I'm here to help you. Doesn't matter you're locked up, but you still should be looking good, right? So Hayley's knocking on your door, and Hayley's gonna make you look good into that mirror, and Hayley's there's gonna bring that joy out for you and let you shine, even if it's on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And it was hope that you've given them, hope that got into them that, what, I still need to look good even if I'm at home. It doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter. I mean, I must say as well, for me, I mean, I didn't go to the shops for months. If I had a Hayley knocking on my door, oh hell yeah, absolutely, right? But to my point, Hayley, I think you brought more hope to them than anything else, and also giving them normality, like you mentioned. But I think it was, I can still look good being at home.
Yeah, it was just, and the thing is that like things like I'd never done Facebook Live. It was weird. It was just a weird thing. And I always said, oh no, I could never do that. I could never do that. But I mean, I went out to, now I go out to over 800 women, normally every week. It's pretty, yeah, it's about every week. But Facebook Live, no, could never do it. I started doing Facebook Lives because I realized that I was going to lose a proportion of my clientele.
Yep.
And for reasons, for health reasons, for financial reasons, for, there were a bunch of reasons. And I realized like I really needed to, if I was that determined that I was not going to lose 35 years, then I needed to use all these incredibly smart things that are available to me for free to market my business. And who am I to decide that, like what is wrong with you, and I started having these conversations with myself. And I then realized also, if you are going to stand up and be the advocate for size inclusivity, then how can you turn around and say, oh no, I'm embarrassed to go live on Facebook because of what I look like?
Well said. Well said. I mean, listen, I was told by a friend of mine as well, and she said it straight out. She says, then why are you opening this foundation if you're not willing to share your story yourself? She called me out, right? So as much as you bring to the table, the style of clothing, if you are not that face of that brand, who should be then? Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you see, so what I did was, and here's a really good, I hope, a really good example for any fellow entrepreneurs. I was doing that thing. So there was Facebook and there was Instagram, and I was taking a photo on a mannequin and I was editing it a little bit and I was putting it up on Facebook and I was writing a whole long story about it, when I should have been doing it the other way around. I should have been 3 lines and I should have been modeling the outfit and going and telling the story. But I was doing, and I couldn't. And I got more and more disillusioned by the fact that I was not getting any response to those photos on Facebook. And I'm like, this is plus size clothing and I don't understand it. And I bitched and moaned forever about, like it's so wrong and I don't understand it. And then I put my big girl panties on and I went live on Facebook, and oh my word, Sheshni, like this is the most insane thing that has happened to Hayley Joy in 35 years. We are bringing on so many new clients with so much love and gratitude, and I'm building relationships with people on Facebook where I'm getting messages on a Monday going, Hi, I'm just checking to see that you're okay because you didn't go live yesterday morning and I really miss your soapy. Like, hello. You know what I mean? Like it's become, and that's to any entrepreneur who has the luxury of, you have a phone, you press go live on here and you do whatever you do, whether you paint, whether you cook, whether you make clothes, whether you
Yes.
grow plants, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a storyteller, you could start. I mean, if you get me going, I promise you we'll be here until tomorrow morning.
Hello, we spoke to 3 hours, so we don't have 3 hours this time. You and I can talk and talk. I've been on the other side of that telephone, right? So I know we can talk. I mean, you put two ladies into a room, we're gonna talk it out, right? Absolutely.
Go there, like let's go there for a minute or 2 or 5. Like, think about this platform. If you are a great storyteller, so let's say you lost your job and the only thing you have is storytelling, and you're sitting and you're going, shame poor me. Well, I'm going to say, no, not shame poor you. You have Facebook Live, you have Instagram Live. You could start going live telling stories. And if you are a great storyteller, you will build a tribe of followers, like I've built a tribe of followers on Facebook. And then with consistency, because that's what social media is all about, with consistency, if you say you're going to go live and tell stories every Wednesday night, then go live and tell a story every Wednesday night. And you will then have people who will be there regularly, and then you will get them onto a WhatsApp group or onto an email list. And slowly you build this tribe, and eventually you can monetize that tribe by putting them into either a membership platform or a paid for group, or there are a multitude of things you can do with those people. Or one of those people could pay you to come into a Zoom room with 50 of their friends to tell a story. Can I start writing the business plan for that? Yes, there it is. I didn't live that. What I've told you now, I had at my fingertips for Hayley Joy, I didn't use it. A pandemic and being so stuck in putting up static pictures with long tomes of writing and doing the same thing, banging the same head against the same wall for 3 years, the pandemic just threw all of it wide open for me.
Yeah.
And I have now built a tribe of women who trust me, who like me. Not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to like you. But, I mean, but you build a tribe who do like you, and the support and the love and then the support in buying the clothing. I had a message from somebody who said, "Hi, could you please add me to your WhatsApp list?" So I went back and I said, "Hi, welcome, you've been added. Fond regards, Hayley." She came back and she said, "Your passion on Facebook completely sold me." That's the line. Your passion on Facebook, on your Facebook Live, completely sold me. What it is, and it's not me, just me, anybody, when you go out authentically as a brand, as a person, and that authenticity is carried through in everything. So how do you carry the authenticity through? You go live on Facebook, you show this jacket, you talk about all the wonders of this jacket, and then you get all these orders. Now, this is where the know, like, trust thing comes in. Because they've got to know you on Facebook, they've got to like you and the product. Now you need to build the trust. And that's where the most important part of it. Going live on Facebook and being all famous and rah-rah and people telling you that they like your soapy and your reality show and asking, when are you going to be on TV again? Because they think you're on TV when they're seeing you on the... That's all wonderful, but it means nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Nothing if you don't build the trust. So the trust then is in making this garment, sending it to them as quickly as possible, and making sure that it is 100% beautiful.
Yeah, I get you. I totally get you.
Because then you've got the client for life. So my thing, I mean, I'm in a wonderful platform, and I actually want to introduce you to Dawn, who I'm on the platform with. They started this membership site, and this every month they have a different theme, and this month the theme is know, like, trust. And we were chatting last week. We do a once a month catch up, and we were all talking about the know, like, trust thing. And I just, like, when I spoke about it, I was like, that's exactly what it is. They need to get to know you. They need to get to like you. You need to understand this is not about you.
Yeah.
This is not about you. If a client comes back to me and says, Hayley, I love that jacket so much, but that collar really irritates me. Has anybody else complained? Yes. A couple of people have mentioned they don't like the collar, or no, actually, the collar, but maybe what we can do is, instead of putting stiffening in the collar, we don't put stiffening in the collar, and then it's a softer collar. What do you think? Yeah, I think that might be a good idea. And then make the jacket like that, because it's about the customer. It's not about your preciousness. Oh, I only make this jacket with stiffening in the collar. No.
Yeah. You know what, Hayley, I totally agree with you, right? I mean, each storyteller that comes on to open mic as well, you know, I have a conversation with them first before coming on. And people, you know, coming onto open mic and sharing one's truth and authenticity and their stories is not, you know, it's not easy, right? To speaking about that. So I have to ensure them that the person that you are speaking to, you have a level of trust with me already before even coming on, right? And if you are not ready to come on, then it's okay. Then we'll work towards you trusting me first before coming on. Because, you know, the stories that come to open mic, I mean, I have beautiful storytellers as well that have come on and still keep in contact with me and have 3-hour conversations with me in their car. And it is a level of trust, you know, people that, whether it's on open mic, like these interviews that I do with yourselves or the groups, whether I put it into a journal, whether I have the exhibition, it's people entrusting me with their stories that they want to share. And there's no judgment. You are human, and it is your truth. It's not mine, it's yours. And there's a lot of trust that people give me as well, you know, to understand. And I so respect that every single person that comes onto open mic, no matter what form of expression that they share, it's a level of trust that they give into me. And I'm always grateful and blessed that the people that have come onto open mic, you know, trust in me, but more especially trust in the cause that we stand for, you know, in expressing one's truth and being authentic and having the space for people to hear. Because if you don't have trust, Hayley, then hope is lost, right, in humanity.
But the thing is, Sheshni, you know, this is where it's come to, like, for me in it, the trust factor is that if you buy from me and you receive a garment, and I know what it's like to be plus size, and I know what it's like to be lied to, because every second brand out there is putting the hashtag plus size in their social media stuff. And I know what it's like to buy the biggest size and get it, and it fits me to here. And I can't get it closed. I know that feeling. And you just feel so disillusioned, disrespected. So my core value in my company is that I want that experience, that normal size, whatever normal size is. So when normal size goes online and buys something, let's say from Woolies or from Superbalist or whatever, and they get their parcel, they open it up, it's a size 10 or a size 38, and they put it on and they stand around the mirror and wow, it looks fabulous. Plus size women don't have that experience. And I have been determined to be that plus size brand that debunks that theory that you can never order plus size online, because I have a standard sizing system. We don't have labels in our clothes. We have colored labels with a little symbol. So I am a Hayley Joy 2XL, but the label, if I can show you, if I can get to it.
I can see it. Yeah.
Label is a pink label with a heart on it. So if you want to order from me and your husband's in the room and you don't actually want your husband to hear you say, can I order a 5XL? You just say, hi, Hayley, can I get a green label, please? Can I get the jacket you were wearing in a green label? I've thought of everything to make that experience trustworthy. And then when your parcel arrives and you open it, because you know, I got scissors delivered the other day. Do you know how excited I got? Like opening my hubby looked at me and said, you know what's in that box? I said, yeah, I think it's the scissors. He said, but look at you. I said, yeah, but it's like I'm getting a gift. Like I was so excited to get this thing. I want my clients to have that same experience. But then when they take it out of the packet and they put it on, I want them to stand in front of the mirror and I want them to go, oh my word, look how beautiful I look. No matter their size. And you know what, Sheshni? In closing, I have that where every message, I mean, I was reading to my hubby the whole week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I said, listen, yeah. Hi, Hayley, thank you so much. I received my green lace jacket. Oh my word, I am in love. Hi, Hayley, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to put it into words. First time I'm buying from you. Absolutely amazing experience. Hi, Hayley, hi. Not one negative. This doesn't fit. Everything fits. Why? Because I am plus size myself. And I understand the pain of being a plus size woman. So I want to be that brand that when they go to drop the kids at school in a normal world, when they go to book club, when they go to swimming lessons, when they go to dinner, lunch, whatever, when somebody says, oh, I really love that jacket you're wearing, I want them to be my brand ambassadors. And that's what I have. And that's coming unstuck. I'm now in a position where I love going to work. It is my playground. It's not work. I love going to my playground. I can actually just remove the word work because it's not work. It's such fun and it's so rewarding, and we are changing so many lives. We are making a difference in so many lives, and it's become now all about them, not about me.
Yeah, it's never, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful space to be. So I've come unstuck. The pandemic gave that to me. And yeah, it's been a really reflective year for me. And it's been a very good year in that I've been able to slow all my pace down. My lease came up for renewal at the end of June on my retail store. I made a huge decision not to renew it. It was the best decision I ever made. We now work from 10 till 3. I have a life before, I have a life after. I can come home on a Saturday and I can do an interview with you like this. I have a life now, and I'm making a living, I'm making a difference, and I have a happy balance now, which I didn't have before. So yeah, it's been really good to me. So I am a very grateful human.
Hayley, I want to say, well done.
Thank you.
I think well done on giving the plus size woman a place where they can feel comfortable enough to talk to someone, to have somebody that will be able to dress them up, knowing what it is like to feel that comfort. And I want to say thank you for your contribution to the woman out there that experiences that. Sometimes we take it for granted what we do and the impact that we feel. And just listening to you right now gives me a sense of there's so much more out there that you're going to be doing. So much more out there. And, it's what you see and what you believe in and have faith in yourself, to your words, is what you're going to create and manifest going forward. So I want to say thank you so much. I think to all the women out there that's watching this today, and all the women out there that having trusted Hayley and her giving you that spark and that light through her clothing, I want to say to you guys, just keep on going. Keep on believing in yourself. Keep on dressing up, showing up, and just be yourself. And with Hayley's help, I'm sure all of you guys are getting that opportunity to do so. Be strong enough to know that you have support. Myself, if there's somebody out there that want to share his story, Hayley, you can contact me. But having women, it doesn't matter from where you are, who you are, you always have women supporting women, no matter where you are in the world. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter from what race or religion or culture you come from, right? We all stand together and we all try to help people in some way or another. So, Hayley, thank you so much for doing your part and helping the woman out there to look absolutely fabulous. And I said this to you as well. I owe you a visit and I'm going to come to your store and I'm looking. We talked about some collaborations with Open Mic, so we're definitely gonna create this magical, inspirational, colorful, bubbly personality that you have, and to see how we can collaborate a little bit more, and to see how we can bring more light to some people out there, to women. And it was so good speaking to you. I want to say thank you so much for doing this for me on a Saturday afternoon. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. And I agree, you know, one of the things that I also advocate very strongly for is that it doesn't always have to be about money,
No.
because this thing that we hold in our hand is the future of everything. And
Yeah.
going forward, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. And you know, to just share somebody's post on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, it doesn't matter where it is, but to just take that 1 minute. You don't have to write anything. I always write something because I like to do it properly, but you don't have to. You can literally press the share button. And I say that if as women we start to share each other's businesses more and more, if you see a post from Hayley Joy or you see an open mic post and you like the brand, share it.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing, but you have no idea how much how many eyes can be put onto that brand
Yeah.
just by sharing it in your personal page.
Yeah.
So sharing, collaboration, yeah, I look forward. I think you and I are we're gonna do lots together, Sheshni. I look
Oh, we
forward.
gotta do lots. We're gonna rock this world, Hayley. Don't you worry. Between the two of us, we have a lot to do.
You're gonna come to me and we're gonna go
Yes.
live and we're gonna do a little styling session with you to show that I dress normal size woman too. Whatever
Oh,
normal
Hayley.
is, it's a weird term, that like what is normal size? But you know what? I do. I mean, I cater from a small to a 7XL. So I would love to play dress up with you, and I'd love us to just go live together and talk about open mic. We'll reverse it. We don't have to talk about me because now everybody's heard my story. But now let's talk about open mic, how it happened, and I look forward to that. That's the
All
challenge. So
right.
you have to
Okay.
when you're going live, otherwise you're not
Okay.
invited.
Hayley, you on. I accept your challenge. I accept your challenge. We're gonna make a date. I'm gonna come to your store, definitely for sure, and do a little dress up for Hayley, and show you guys what I enjoy a lot about Hayley's designs, because I am a creator myself in all different aspects. Hayley, it's your colors and the textures. For me, if I have a look at the thing behind you right now, if you are in your office and that's there, just take note. I'm going to take that away from you, okay? Okay, and I'm just saying. Okay.
I mean, I started printing them onto canvases and now I'm selling them. So that's another whole story as well. You know,
Yeah. Okay, so
how
you owe me one of those because it's absolutely beautiful.
done.
Yeah. So that's the thing, guys, and I think as well, to take away from some of the things Hayley has said, I think from listening to your story, Hayley, just a few things is that, one, have faith in yourself. Really, really have faith in yourself and believe in it. Two is about your collaboration with people, your relationships that you build as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Sometimes don't think that we can do everything by ourselves, right? There's people out there that will help you, and support you and guide you. And most importantly as well, trust.
Yeah.
It sometimes it takes just trust to believe and to move forward. So Hayley Joy, thank you so much. I so appreciate you on the Saturday afternoon. I want to tell you, take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. I promise I will see you soon. Guys, thank you so much for watching us this afternoon, a Saturday afternoon. I appreciate you guys getting onto open mic and listening to this beautiful storyteller sharing her insights and her wisdom with us. Hayley, thank you so much. God bless, and we'll chat soon.
Take good care. Bye.
Cheers, Hayley. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.